Hey everybody, Robert Zinni here for another edition of the Five Senses webcast. We're going throwback style with Zoom today because our guest Aidan Park is in Reno right now for one of his gigs, but he's a stand-up comedian, an activist, and the author of the book, The Art of Being Yay. Aidan, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. So you're in Reno right now. Can you tell us how Reno's treating you?
Reno's great. We just landed last night. I had a gig. So I travel for, comedy gigs and theater gigs or whoever will hire me. Right. So I just completed a theater contract in New Jersey. And I actually drove here in 5 days to get here for tonight's show. So I'm very excited to be here. And Reno's great. Last night I went on the strip and it's Memorial Day. So a lot of people happy and drinking. So yeah,
that sounds great for Memorial Day,
Yeah, totally.
So you travel around the country, doing stand-up, also being an activist, which we'll talk about in a moment. So I want to know, what kind of brings you to our neck of the woods of rural Arizona?
Well, I met John because I was doing a book tour of, but my book came out during COVID. And so this was I don't know, June. Was it June of 2021 or something? I don't know. I don't really remember. But anyway, I was supposed to go over there but then everything got shut down. And so John and I connected though. And so we stayed in touch and I love going to little towns. It makes me super happy to go to little towns and do comedy shows. Yeah.
I think you'll enjoy the Quad City area. You get to go to Prescott the first night, and then you get to go to Cotton Weird, aka Cottonwood, over the mountain.
Why is it Cotton Weird?
A coworker of mine, I invited him out because I'm a vice principal, so I gave the graduation speech yesterday at the school. And we usually go out, and so I was talking to one of my good friends that works at the school. I'm like, "Hey, Luna, are you gonna come out for a drink to celebrate?" She's, "No, I'm going to Cotton Weird." I'm like, "Why call it Cotton Weird?" And she's like, "Well, there's a lot of different cultures there and some weirdos there. So I guess it's all in fun. I don't know."
All right. Well, I love weirdos. I'm a weirdo, so this is great. I'll fit right in.
I feel like if you're not weird or a weirdo, then maybe you are the actual person that's weird. Those people that don't want to express themselves. Yeah.
Yeah. People. Everybody's a weirdo. It's just to what extent can you admit it?
Exactly. So your stand-up, that's what you're coming here for. What type of stand-up do you like to do?
What type of stand-up do I like to do? That's well, it's kind of a broad question. Let's see. How do I narrow this down? Well, I think I like to do stand-up that when I first started stand-up comedy, I just went for jokes. And actually what ended up happening was, I'm sure we'll hit up on this in the interview. I had a partner who passed away, Michael. And actually today's the 4-year anniversary of his passing, interestingly. And when he passed, and I just didn't want to care about anything. I didn't care about anything. And as I started kind of getting back on my feet, I found that storytelling, connection, and also tools for well-being and positivity, all of that, I think really helped me. And so I decided at that point to try whenever possible to use comedy and storytelling as a vehicle for encouraging well-being, and which includes openly talking about things I may be ashamed about that other people may feel ashamed about, because I think shame's antidote is openly just talking about it. To talk about, how I got HIV when I was, 19 years old, how I was a part of the, I was a sex worker. All those things that we don't necessarily want to put out in the open. I deliberately try to put things out in the open, as to use comedy and storytelling as a healing modality kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Did that answer your question?
It does. I mean, it was kind of a crap question anyways. I was just anyway. So you like the art of storytelling, which I really admire. And so you are the first male comedian that has HIV, right? Openly out in there. And I guess my next question.
There was a guy in the 90s. There was a guy in the 90s, but I don't think there's been one since then.
So you're like the OG of like the stand-up comedian, right? Like that's getting on stage and talking about it. And I just want to comment, like, the outside society may think it's shameful, but what I've learned through watching stand-up comedy, it heals, but also it connects, because if we have that shame and humility, we all have some sort of shame and humility for that. So what's like your message, like, when it comes to the LGBTQ plus community and people with HIV? How do you like to approach them, or how do you like to incorporate them in your act?
In my opinion, people will follow your lead on your attitude as it relates to anything. So as an experiment, as I was rehearsing for my special, I wanted to talk about being HIV positive in rural shows that I booked. So I booked an Elks Lodge in Montana. And I also played Utah, and I also played Fresno, California. So like these smaller towns, right? And I really wanted to do it, see what happened. And what I found was, when I did it and spoke openly about it, nobody gave me anything. I think they might have before, but like times have changed enough that if you step on stage and you're open about being HIV positive, and you're open about being gay, and you're open about being a widow, people will adjust their attitude to your attitude. So I guess my message around that is, if we can resolve the shame in ourselves, and kind of like, it's like going on a date, right? If you go on a date and you say, have something to say, I'm HIV positive, and I, forget it. But if you go on a date and you're like, hey, I'm HIV positive and I'm undetectable, I'm very healthy, you might want to, it's untransmittable if you're undetectable. But if you want to, do some research and decide for yourself, you're welcome to do that. With that attitude, I've been on quite a few dates. I don't get any real pushback. In fact, people will educate themselves. They'll follow you. So the thing that I want to advocate for is people to step into who they are powerfully and present themselves in a powerful way with confidence. There's nothing wrong with anybody. We are who we are. And the more we can step into that in a genuine way, not, you need to be different, that's defense, but really stepping into who you are, then the world will line up for you in the way that you would like it to. But you have to lead. That's what I would like to. Does that make sense?
Great message, Aidan. I'm aligned with you right now, because we should not have to hide who we are in this country that is quote unquote free, so I really love that message. And I think more people, especially in the rural areas, because I've been here for about 12 years, and people think I'm weird because I paint my toenails. And it's funny, some of the cowboys be like, you're a faggot, you're gay. I'm like, well, why don't we have a conversation, and then we'll find some more things in common. And usually have those conversations, they want to be my friend, but since they offended me, I'm like, sorry, but I don't want anything to do with you, right? But I love how you're getting out there and promoting it. And I think you said it the best, like honoring who you are as a person and putting it out there, then the universe will greet you. You've been through a lot of adversity in your life, and I kind of want to segue to talk about your book, The Art of Being Yay. First, I love yay. On my vision board this year, I cut it out of a magazine, like, bring more yay into your life. So,
oh, cool. All right. Awesome.
Yeah. So, I want to know how your adversity, kind of shaped how you developed this art of being happy, or this art of being yay.
Okay. So I started studying empowerment when I was 19 years old, because I got HIV when I was 19, and this voice teacher decided to take me under his wing and said, hey, look, I'm going to give you free voice lessons, but you need to go get empowered. So I started studying like neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, the Tony Robbins stuff, all about getting things and being effective. So I got good at that, except when Michael passed away 14 years after I started studying, I just didn't care. I didn't care about anything. I was like, just kill me. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care about jobs. I don't care about friends. I don't care about anything. And I was pretty serious about just leaving this world, and it was at that point I had to kind of be like, all right, do it or don't. After a month of that, I was like, I can't go on in this middle way. Do it or don't. So I decided that I wanted to be happy. So I decided that I wanted to stay alive, but my deal was I'm going to only stay alive if I can figure out how to be happy. That was kind of the full story. So then I started researching happiness, using the empowerment tools that I learned for 13, 14 years for practical reasons, getting jobs, getting whatever. What if I focused all of that to an emotional end, right? Being happy. So I found things that worked. I found things that didn't. And so it's a matter of decision making. So I have made happiness my priority. Life is not worth living unless I can, not everything has to be perfect, but unless I can be at least in the pursuit of that and feel hope there. So that's kind of, does that answer your question?
Yeah. No, I follow you. So my next one is about yay. What does yay mean to you? Right? That's like your thesis of your book. So what is yay?
Okay, so here's what I feel about yay.
Okay.
I feel it's misunderstood by a lot of people. When I say the art of being yay, actually, I just wanted to, here's the origination of that. I wanted to call the book The Art of Being Gay, but my editor was like, you can't call it that because everybody's going to think you're going to turn the world homosexual. And I'm like, I stopped doing that a long time ago. They always cry after. It's not happening. So then I decided, all right, Art of Being Yay. Now, when people read that title, they think the book's about like being happy all the time, joyful all the time. Yay, yay, yay. That's not really what that means. There's a way in which you can overlay a positivity and just grab onto that and play positive without looking in. And I do not advocate that because it is an act. It is not real. You can do that to the outside, but in here, all this is happening, right? So what I advocate for being gay is being good with yourself. So you're hurt. You have a valid reason to be hurt. Every emotion that you feel is actually a valid emotion. Whether it's true or not is different, right? Like, so, but, anybody would feel the way you feel given the circumstances that you were given. I think that is something that we can line up with. Then we look at, okay, like, why do I feel this way? And you bring your relationship to you closer to yourself. And that is what I feel yay is. Yay is a byproduct of creating a good relationship with you within, not something you hold on to and grab. Now, there's a lot of people who advocate for that, but I think that leads to a lot of backfiring. So, yeah, for me, yay means bringing yourself closer to you. What are your values? What emotions do you feel you would like to have more of in your life? What's important to you? What do you feel ashamed about? How can we resolve some of that? Like really just kind of integrating yourself. That's what I think yay is.
Nice. You just dropped some knowledge just now. Like that's some really deep wisdom because, sometimes we tend to only want to do surface level. And I really appreciate you saying that if you act being happy, you're really not happy because you have to do the work inside. So I really appreciate it. And thank you for that. Like, see, you're a very inspirational person just from us talking for the last 15 minutes. Like, I'm really excited to stand up next week. Okay, so let's we talked a little bit about seriousness, about like, the art of being happy, or yay, and what motivates you for stand up. I want to kind of give us our audience sense, it's a week out for the show. What have, like, if you give us like one of your best moments of like stand up, or like what do you like for the audience to be a part of? Like, can you explain a little bit about like, that thrill for you when you're up on stage?
I know we're trying to get away from serious things, but there's nothing more satisfying than playing a room full of, Elks Lodge members, 200 of them, doing HIV jokes, and then having these country cowboys come up to me and go, "Man, you're great. Thank you. That was awesome." I made so many friends there that like, they're like, come back, like, literally have like offers to stay in their ranches. These are people that I would never connect with, right? Mm-hmm. Like, what does the gay Asian, once undocumented HIV positive immigrant have in common with a rancher from Montana who driving a pickup truck and literally belongs to an Elks Lodge, like Elks Lodge of hunting, right? So I love that comedy can bring people together. And I think that comes from the power of people and honest and authentic. Right. And I think that can really kind of break down preconceived notions that we may have created as me and the other. So I love that in comedy.
Nice. Now, I always felt like comedy brings people together and it heals people. And I think at the end of the day, we're just people, and there's other people. And once we break down those barriers, like you said, and we start gaining some empathy, then we can understand it doesn't matter about our skin color, about our preferences. We're the same. It's the human family, if you will. So nice.
There's a hack for that, actually.
What's the hack?
People want it. It's this. It's like, okay, so when I was researching happiness, I realized that there's a truth that I find to be very universal, that we all want what we want because we think we will feel an emotion at the other end of it. So a person might want a house and they might want comfort, safety, security. A person might want to go hunting for excitement, joy, whatever. Now, when you start talking to people and you can identify what are the drivers that are making them go after what they want, they will tell you in their languaging. Then if you connect on that and you become a person that is helpful to what is important to them, it doesn't mean that you have to agree with their policy, right? It doesn't mean that, if someone's holding on to, tradition or whatever, and maybe they want to feel like a good person, right? Or whatever, they feel like this is the best way to do it. That's a strategy. So if you can identify that and you help them feel like a good person beyond this, then you've made a connection. And now you are an ally to what's important to them. So it's a good way to live.
I totally think it's a great way to live. All this thing that you're talking about makes me think about this philosophy from Japan. It's called Ikigai. Have you ever heard of it?
No.
So I went to Japan before the pandemic, and I was in a philosophy bookstore, and I picked up this thing called Ikigai, and I actually brought it back to my organization and started implementing it. And basically in the Japanese culture, they believe that Ikigai is like that spirit that's all around, but it's about incorporating what makes you happy. And therefore you'll never work a day again in your life. You'll be able to be a better friend. Like, as you can see in my apartment, I have like these like little trinkets, even down to the fact that you have these trinkets that mean something to you is your gateway to happiness,
Right.
So I just, maybe next week when you're in town and after the show, if we, with John, when I go out for a drink, I'll buy you a drink and we can talk more about that. But it's very similar to what I've been trying to curate my whole life with the happiness the last couple of years, especially during the pandemic, that kind of like derailed a lot of things.
It's super important. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm going off. Like, it's like when you're in a pandemic, right? Like, okay, I used to love hanging out with friends for connection and safety, but now the hanging out with friends is gone. So if you can identify that you want a connection and safety, you can create that within the context of being in a pandemic. So it gives you all the power back. So it's like, if you make it about the emotion, then you can't lose, because there's a million ways to meet your emotional needs. And so it's super important. And of course, this is so bad, but I'll say it. The media and the marketing companies have a vested interest in convincing you that you need the car to be happy, you need the food to be happy, or the diamond ring, and so it's messaging. So it's good to be aware.
It is. When I used to teach, Aidan, I used to go into Nazi propaganda and then go into modern day advertisements for my high school students, because that's what you just said the best. It's capitalism trying to tell us that this mug is going to bring you happiness, when really something inside the mug could bring you happiness, And a lot of people, I've felt like in the pandemic, are coming to an awakening where they don't need that materialistic thing, or you see it in more extreme, where people like fill their whole rooms up with like whatever materialistic thing that makes us happy. And I don't like that in our society, that like we have to like think that all these materialistic things will make you happy.
Well, it's like, you know how my boyfriend died, my partner, he passed away. It's like, he used to bring me a lot of safety, security, and comfort. So I can't bring him back. He's in a million pieces because he's been cremated in the Pacific Ocean somewhere. So what do I do? Just go without? Like, what are my options here? Like, if I need him to get those needs met, then I will never get those needs met. What do you do?
Well, I think that's a tough thing, because like it's about how we deal with that adversity or adapt with the changes, like when I was 11, I had cancer, and then my grandpa got cancer, and we were on the same cancer floor in Buffalo, New York, and he died on the same floor when I was having treatment. And that was kind of fear for like the last like year when I had chemotherapy. But like I'm an Italian, so all the Italians really breed you how to accept death as an early age. Like I remember, like as a toddler, I'm at all these funerals, and so I guess my grandma just said that there'll always be a piece with you when you can take it when they're passed away. But also for me, when a friend dies, because like I had like 3 good friends having cancer, and like we would go to the St. Lawrence River, and then like all 3 of them died, and so like it's just me left. And I think for me, it's just like living that spirit. Like, what would they want to do in that moment? Or like recently I've been telling people I have grandpa energy, because I've been thinking about my grandpa who died a lot. And it's just about being that like better role model, or now that I'm older, maybe I can mentor a younger person a little bit more better, so it's about, for me, it's about getting that energy whenever I need that. Or like, if, somehow, why is this person my dream, or why is that? I'm going to investigate that a little bit more, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tell you, I think you'll enjoy this. This quick. So I work with Special Olympics of Southern California.
Nice. Okay.
And I put together like a curriculum for them for happiness for their athletes while they were whatever. They called me because one of their leaders had passed away, and that leader was very close to the athletes. And they were like, "Well, you're the gay guy. What would you say?" And I actually think this is true. I think what you're saying is right. I think, we asked like, okay, well, how did everybody feel when that person was around that we will miss? That person was always there to support. That person was always there with a lot of energy. That person was there to hold space for open communication. Yeah. Great. So that person is gone, but let's then amp up our care into bringing that into the community, right? So let's be more supportive and open for communication with one another, in that person's memory. So let's absorb what that person brought here and keep that going in this foundation. I think that's a really good way I try to do that with Michael too,
Well, I'm sorry to hear that Michael passed away, and like let's honor him for 4 years of passing away. So here's to Michael. I didn't know him, but if he meant a lot to you, like cheers.
He's Italian, and I like to, how Italians like to yell?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. I'm like, I feel I was Italian in my past life. So like what I like to say is, you know what? Fuck you, Michael. Like you're sitting on your goddamn cloud looking down here. And like, yeah. And then one time I talked to a psychic medium and the psychic medium was like, he says you should. And I was like, tell him to fuck off. You're sitting on a cloud. You're a ball of light telling me what to do. I have to live here, man. Did you have to drive here in traffic? Did you have to, deal with your stuff that you left behind? Like all your furniture I'm dealing with, and now I should be doing something. Fuck you. And
that is totally an Italian way to do it, man. Because I grew up, my great aunts and uncles swore all the time. And my great uncle Jimmy died, and we were just talking about how much of a son of a bitch and a bastard that guy was. That's the Italian love language, So,
we hit each other, we feed each other.
Yep.
I mean, not hit, but like we are like, hey,
Yep, exactly.
Freaking Michael, telling me what to do from a cloud. Really, Michael, come here and take your shit. How about that?
Nice, Aidan. So we're running out of time right now, but it's been great talking to you. I feel like I've gained a little bit more of who you are, and I'm really now excited to go see you next weekend here at Prescott. So before we go, I know you have some specials on some streaming services, and please tell us, our audience, where they can find more information, your stand-up, and like your book or your specials in your book.
So if you go to my Instagram, Aidan Park Show, AIDANPARK Show, there's a link tree there. It's the same thing, linktree.com/Aidan Park Show. You can find my specials there. You can find my website, the wellness website. You can find my book there. You can find all kinds of stuff. And I know this was a very serious conversation, but the book is actually very funny and very salacious. Very open.
Okay.
So hopefully I'll see you at the Prescott, and hopefully you'll say hi and all that stuff. Yeah,
I would love to. I would love to meet you in person, Aidan. And so, for everybody, if you don't know, Aidan will be having 2 shows next weekend, June 3rd and 4th. The 3rd is at Embry-Riddle University at 6:30, and then you'll be on main stage in Cottonwood Saturday, June 4th at 6:30 as well. Tickets you can get from 5 Senses magazine or at Northland Cares, because again, Aidan's coming here for a fundraiser for Northland Cares, our favorite nonprofit organization to get everybody their good health. And I always use them for guest speakers with my students, and it's always a good time too. But anyways, Aidan, thank you very much for your time. Enjoy Reno, and I'll see you next week.
All right, I'll see you. Bye.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of 5 Senses. These episodes wouldn't be complete without our sponsors and 5 Senses magazine. For more information and more webcasts, log on to 5enses.mag.com, like us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.